So I was listening to a talk or a speech by a man named Jim Rohn, who made some pretty good points about the importance of opposing viewpoint. And since these things stuck out to me, I wanted to share some of these things with you. So I'll share what he said, and then after I've shared what he said, I want to make some points that are pretty concerning as far as where our country is at.
But make this note now, debate is important. That's why we have at least two parties in Congress, to debate good ideas. The communism said, no, one party is sufficient. But see, lacking debate, it's easy to become tyrannical. Power tends to corrupt. Absolute power tends to corrupt absolutely. So without debate, something can gather far too much power. So it's important. And a lot of the issues I'm going to raise this weekend, a lot of the stuff I'm going to share with you is up for debate. Here's why it's up for debate. I can only share with you my point of view. And there's got to be more than one point of view. If I looked at something from over here and I said, here's what it looks like to me, and you were standing over there looking back this way at it, you would say, no, here's what it looks like to me. Now, if I had invited you from back over there to come up here and look at it from where I am, you might say, gosh, you're right, Mr. Rohn, I never looked at it before from this vantage point. So that's what I want to do, and the speakers we've got this weekend are going to gather all of us up and share ideas from our point of view. But here's what you must remember. There's more than one point of view. So here's what's important. To be a student, not a follower. To be a student, not a follower. And part of being a student is to debate the ideas. Once you hear them, you say right or wrong. Could it work for me, not work for me? Is that a little too heavy, or isn't it sufficient enough? Now, sometimes it's useful to debate with each other. I'm a good debater, right? If I choose one side, I don't really care which side to choose. Just pick a side. Go for it. I remember a great debate I really heard. Someone in America was debating someone in Canada that held a little more liberal position, and the American was very conservative. And the American said, every man for himself. Individualism, rugged individualism. And on the other side, the liberal said, well, yes, every man for himself, said the elephant as he danced among the chickens. I thought, hey, that's a pretty good point. So, whether it's liberal or conservative, we need both. In America, the Declaration of Independence is America's great liberal document. And the Constitution of the United States is America's great conservative document. So it takes a bit of both. But to debate the idea. Now, if you can't debate with someone, here's what you must learn to do. Debate with yourself. Is it valuable or isn't it valuable? Is this idea I've heard a bit off track or is it on track? Would it be useful or not be useful? To debate the merits of trying it, to debate the merits of putting it into action. So debate is a way to refine a good idea. Someone in Congress says, I have an idea for the country. And the rest of them say, wonderful, put it on the table. So someone asks 3 questions, and this guy says, wow, I never thought of those questions. I withdraw my great idea. Well, it's a good thing we didn't try it on the country. So here's why we learn from multiple voices, but we don't become followers, we become students. And that is to refine ideas that can change our health, change our income, change our future, change everything for the better. Make us more productive.
So not wanting to take away from the good point that he said, adding in my 2 cents, this is why I'm concerned for the country as far as where we're at in society. Because it's becoming way too common these days for people to become so involved and so emotional. Because what I'm seeing across the country is pretty troublesome. What I'm seeing is people are becoming so worked up and so emotional that they are unwilling to listen to opposing points of view. They're so passionate that they try and shout over the other person when they're talking. You see this across college campuses across the country. It's sad that a lot of people don't even understand what freedom of speech is. All too often I've heard, "Oh, you're not allowed to say that. It's illegal." See, when we are not able to listen, when we're not able to respectfully debate, that leads us down a dangerous path. And how can we as a country get things done? How can we move forward if we're not willing to listen? If we're not willing to work with other people and have an open mind to progress? Because you can't progress if you're closed off and not willing to debate things. And so I guess it's good for me to be optimistic and say that I hope things change. We as a country need to be able to listen. Of course, we're not going to always agree with many things that people say, but essentially we need to be able to listen and have an open mind. And we need to be willing to civilly debate. And when we can do that, we can move forward, we can evolve, and we can progress. And so for a large percentage of millennials who try and undermine the other person's opinions and freedom of speech, to try and sabotage their message, to shout out over them when they're talking and stating their point of view, to not understand what the freedom of speech even is. These indicate that we're going to have to do some work to change things for the better, to progress, as I've said. And we have to do that to keep things civil. Because typically what you see when people try to do that is you see people begin to become so emotional, so worked up. There's anarchy, and it turns into protests and even violence. And we have to keep things peaceful. And so it falls upon us to help people understand the necessity of listening to opposing points of view.